All right, welcome everyone to our Unmute and Recharge session today, February 23rd. It's a great day. Just a little housekeeping. Please keep your mic muted. If you have questions, just type them in the chat. We'll get to those questions. And at the end, we'll open mics if you have questions at that point and want to ask in person. If you have not registered on the professional development system, please do that. The session number is 267405. I also put the link in the chat so you can register and then check in with the remote check-in code PSJA Tech to make sure you get credit for attending. We have some fabulous presenters with us today. First up, we have Jeanette Maharas. She's the IB coach in the CIT at Palacios Elementary. So I'm going to turn it over to her, and she's going to go over some Nearpod lessons in the lesson library. So Jeanette, I'm going to let you take it away.
Perfect. Let me share my screen really quick. And then, okay, let me get out of here. Okay, can y'all see my screen? I'm on the slides.
Yeah.
Can you see it? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Alrighty, so like Debbie mentioned, my name is Jeanette Mijares and I'm the IB coach and the CIT at Palacios Elementary. And today we're going to go over the Nearpod lesson library. So one of the things that we have available is the Nearpod lesson library. And I think this is really, really neat because they have so many different pre-made lessons that we can all utilize. And what's really neat is that we can make modifications depending on how we need them for our students, or if we need review sessions or anything like that. Those are already available for us. So as you notice, when we're going to go in, and I'll do a step-by-step on the Nearpod website, but you're always going to see this banner on the left side of your screen when you're on Nearpod, and your Nearpod library is down here on that bottom section. So when you click it, it's going to take you to that overall library database, and it's really good. They have so many different things. And so first, you can narrow down your options of what you're looking for depending on whatever is featured. So maybe there's something that's really neat that a lot of people are looking at. That's something you can focus on. It's also divided by grade level, by subjects, by content types, and by publishers. And so you can also do a search where you can be very specific in what you want to review and what you're looking for. And then you'll have so many different lessons available. So that's really, really neat. I know right now, since it's Countdown to STAR, they have a lot of STAR, super quick and easy lessons that you can do with your kiddos. It could be for maybe tutoring, or maybe if you have them have in small groups. If you're doing that, you can do a student pace, and the students can go on and do those lessons. So it's really, really neat. They're very detailed, and so I think that's one of the greatest things about it. Sorry. All that. And so now we also have, like I mentioned, we have the opportunity to edit these pre-made lessons. You can either delete slides, or you can insert slides into different sections. And so I'll show you that in just a second how it goes. I just provided this for you in case you have access to the presentation. You'll have a step of how to do it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our Nearpod. And now if you are a classroom teacher, then you have Nearpod available to you through the Clever website. I am not a classroom teacher, so I don't have this available to me. So all I would do is I would sign in with Google, go in, utilize my credentials, and you'll see that it pops up. And so the first thing you're going to see are lessons that you haven't probably saved onto your into folders, if that's the way you've decided to organize them. If you notice, I have a bunch of different folders on here, and I've labeled them differently because those are Nearpod activities or lessons that I created, and I can put that in there. You're also able to do that. But today we're going to focus on that Nearpod library. So if you notice here on the bottom, this is your Nearpod library, and think of this as your personal library. And so when you go into that Nearpod library, this is what I'm talking about. They have so many different things available. I know they have like different activities for different months, depending on the different celebrations that we're going through. So that's really neat. And so this is kind of the breakdown that I was talking about. So here on this taskbar, I guess you could say, we have it by grade. So if you're looking for a specific grade, by different subjects, content types, publishers. You're able to do all of those different things. And so what I want to do right now is I'm going to give you a quick how-to on how do you edit them. So for example, if I'm going to do a 3rd grade math star review, I can search that out and you can see how each one it's pertaining to a different TEK. Sorry, if I hover over it, it's not going to show you, but if you notice, it has the title of the presentation. It has a TEK that it's targeting and the grade level. So I think this is a really awesome tool to utilize. So we're just going to pretend that we are going to use a math lesson for our tutoring group, but we want to be able to incorporate different skills or cover different skills throughout. So one of the things you're going to do is you're going to go through it. You're going to click on it. And if you notice, you have the presentation here. It gives you a really quick small preview here on the bottom. But you have 2 options. One of the options is to add it to your lessons, which is that personal library that I talked to you about. And then you can teach straight from it, which means you'll just go through it. It's more like instantaneous for your students. But what you want to do is you want to be able to add it to your lessons. That way you're able to make those changes. So here I'm going to go to add to my lessons. And if you notice, now I have the ability to edit the lesson. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to click edit lesson, and I'm going to open another tab, and I'm going to go back to Nearpod. And again, I'm going to go to library, or you could just do the search at the top. And again, I'm going to do 3rd grade math star review. And I'm going to grab a different skill. So I'm just going to click on this one. Again, you need to add it to your lessons in order for it to be, in order for you to have the opportunity to edit. So once you do, you have edit, and then you'll see this. So here we have a total of 8 slides available to us. And on this second one, it's also 8 slides. And so what's really neat is that you're able to see the different activities that you have. So for example, in this one, we have a draw, a quiz, and a poll. And I want to say this one, yes, this one has a time to climb, a quiz, and a poll. And so let's just pretend that you love this, but you also want to give them just the time to climb. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on it. It's going to turn orange. Now you have 2 options. You can either delete it because you don't need it in this presentation, or you can copy it. The moment you copy, you can come over onto this side. And hold on. Let me click on this last slide. Hold on, I did it before and it worked. You should be able to. Why is it not letting me? But I can promise you.
Is it maybe add new?
Copy
it. Control, are you doing Control C?
I'm trying to do, but it's not working.
Or Control V?
It didn't work. Hold on. I promise I'm not lying. I did it earlier and it worked. Hold on. Oh man, why isn't it doing it? Oh, I don't know why it's not working. Hold on. I can grab it, copy. I'm going to do a shortcut to see if that helps. Paste. Why is it? Okay, let me do side by side. Maybe that'll help.
So, Ms. Mijares, to help you out a little bit with that, I believe
sometimes
it's very finicky. It's a little finicky. Sometimes it has a little bit of lag to it. So it's not that it won't work. It's just we have to be a little bit persistent when it comes to it. So when anybody else is doing it, they'll need to actually have them both open, and it's going to take a couple of attempts. But yes, I know exactly what you mean, and I agree with you that sometimes it doesn't let you paste it, or it doesn't give you the paste feature in the top, right?
Oh yeah, look, now it's here. Unless it's the same one. No, okay, look, let's see if it worked. Yes, it did. Okay, so yes, thank you, Mr. T. So yes, he's right. It does lag, and I know sometimes even when you're showing your kiddos, that might you might see that where you're already on the second slide and your kiddos' computers might not be working the same way. So do that. What I did right now, in order for it to work, I refreshed it, and that helped, and it automatically gave me that paste option at the top. And so let me try to do it once more, and I'll do it on the other one so that you see it in live mode, because I don't want to leave you with so I'm going to pretend that I'm going to grab this quiz. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go down to this one. I'm going to refresh it before, see if that helps. I'll refresh it, I'll insert, and now you see I have that quiz. Now it came down to the bottom. So yes, thank you, Mr. T, for all your help. And so yeah, that would be one of the things. Maybe if it's not working and you're also trying to paste it and it's not working, refresh it before, and then maybe that'll work a little bit better. So that is a section where, like I said, where you can add anything on there. If you want multiple, like let's just say you want to combine both of them and you just want to go all the way from 1 to 8. So what you're going to do is you're going to click it and then you'll click Control and you can select multiple slides as well. Sorry. Wait, hold on. 1 and Shift maybe? No, it won't. Okay, so 2 multiple. You can click copy, bring it over onto this side, and then you click paste, and it'll start bringing all of that. And you can move them around. So for example, if you want to maybe bring this out, you introduce both of these and then talk about the activities beforehand, you're also able to do that. And so this is really neat. Like I said, you can, if you have a small group for tutoring or just small group for intervention in the mornings, anything like that. And they have tons of different lessons that you're able to do. So just play with it, find something that works for you. Like I said, you have so many different options you can select from, whether it's from the grade level you're trying to teach or just a subject, or maybe you just want something fun for them to get used to the program, you're also able to do that. So does anybody have any questions? Are we okay? Yes. Thank you again, Mr. T, for all your help. Thank you so much. Let me stop sharing.
Thank you, Jeanette. That's awesome. Nearpod is such it has so much to offer. And, you know, teachers, I like how you've said, just start out here with the library, you know, start using those. You don't have to create your own right away, but it's great that you can edit. So that's awesome. Appreciate that. All right, everyone. Next up, we have another one of our fabulous CITs. We have Sebastian Tijerina, our teacher in CIT at Escobar Elementary. He is also going to talk a little bit about Nearpod today, but using it with your iPad and in the power zone. Important words. So, Sebastian, go ahead and take it away.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, Ms. Pingo. So, like Ms. Pingo just said, I am Sebastian Tijerina. I'm the CIT and the science lab teacher at Escobar Elementary, and I've been using Nearpod pretty much since I started working here. I came in right at the peak of the pandemic, pretty much, and we were working with the kids online. So I have a little bit of experience when it comes to working with the Nearpod platform. So this is more for the intermediate Nearpod user. So what I like to do with it is it's very useful when it comes to using it in the power zone, right? So let me go ahead and come back to the presentation that we have here, right? So I believe we have it over here. Let me go ahead and present my screen. So let's come back over here. And I'm going to go ahead and start off by going over this, right? So we're going to cover how to use Nearpod slides and activities to ensure students are engaged. So we're going to go over how to have different types of activities that Nearpod has that helps us keep the students engaged. At the end of the day, we want all the students to be engaged, and that helps us make sure that they're learning, right? Another way is how to use the school-issued iPad to connect to the Newline board while using Nearpod and maintaining the presence in the power zone. This is going to be one of the more important things when it comes to using Nearpod and the technology available to us that's provided to us by the district, right? And we're also going to align it to align the use of technology with T-Test, right? So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So the first activity that I want to go over is going to be our collaborate board, right? So let's go ahead and come over here to our Nearpod presentation. I have my presentation right here. So let's say you're going to go over, let's go over the one that I have here. I have fossil fuels, right? So let's go over what are fossil fuels. You're going to come up here to the add new, like my colleague, I believe, just spoke about right now, about adding and changing different things within the pre-made Nearpods. Let's go ahead and see how we can make our own. Once we start getting the hang of using Nearpod, and customizing it to your students' needs is something that we can do with it, right? So let's go ahead and start off with our Collaborate board. What I like about the features that we have here is that now they have a search menu. So you can look for anything that you want to use, right? Even our recents, all of the recent stuff that we've used, I use a little bit of everything when it comes to Nearpod. So one of the more collaborative features that we have is, again, the Collaborate board. it helps us open up our lesson. This is at least that's the way that I use it. This is usually my do now when they come into my class, or those of us that have our do nows, or that we have a rotating schedule, right? So let's say we're going to go with fossil fuels, right? What are fossil fuels? So we'll start off with that. And we even have the features of adding images. If we'd like, we can even put our own images that we have saved, or we can upload some from Google. So I can go ahead and put fossil fuels. Go ahead and click on whichever one I like best to show what a fossil fuel is. We'll go with the first one. And that's it. Now we just come to our settings, and we can put our settings here. Now, I understand a lot of us have different needs when it comes to our students, right? So based off of the students that you have, you know who you have, you know what you have. So you want to be able to show their names if you want them to show their names, because I know we have some students that don't want to participate because they're shy. So sometimes we want to hide their names so they can feel confident enough to be, I guess, go under the radar incognito and share what they're thinking without being judged, right? So then we have also the students can edit their responses. This is also something I don't usually leave this on, but I turn it on sometimes when I know that it's something that, or I have a class that tends to make a lot of grammatical errors, and they can go back in there and edit it. Now, for those students that we know are a little bit iffy when it comes to what they might be posting or anything like that, you can always turn on the approved student posts, right? So now you'll get a notification in the very top over here in the top right corner that'll tell you approve student posts. So if someone wants to share an iffy comment, you can approve it, you can deny it, right? And then comments, this is also something that I really love for the students to do, right? And it goes back to making sure that the students are engaged. So the comments section is something that I love to keep on when it comes to the collaborate board, because it helps the students give feedback in real time. And it's something really awesome that I love to see with the student side of it. And also approve student comments. So you can go ahead and approve the posts and comments, just in case, you know, you have those students that try to be funny. We all have those students, right? So we can save it at that. Right, and I'm going to show you an example of what it looks like. So when it comes down to the actual presentation or the collaborate board, this is what it will look like. This is the same thing, what are fossil fuels? I believe I had this earlier this year. If not, yeah, I believe it was earlier this year. So I covered the student names because on my side, on the teacher side, I can see the student names. So its fuels are made out of fossils, fossil fuels. Fossil fuels is fuel like for car or electricity to power. So it shows us what the students know. And if they share something that, let's say, do I have anybody here that doesn't really understand? Fuels, fossil fuels, gases. Okay, fossil fuels. So right here, let's say someone were to have shared, oh, fossil fuels are made out of energy that can last forever. I can go ahead and use that as a talking point as they're filling this out. Hey guys, remember, fossil fuels are considered a non-renewable resource. What does that mean, right? So now we start molding their thought processes when it comes to using this, right? So let's go ahead and escape from here, and let's come back over here. Another feature that I love to use is going to be the open-ended question. So the open-ended questions is something that we use a lot, especially now that we're having to worry about the extended constructed response and the short constructed response. I love to use the open-ended questions. So let's go ahead and give a little peek at what that is, right? And again, this is extremely easy. This is more for our people that have kind of used Nearpod, but even if you haven't used Nearpod, it's very intuitive, right? So we can go ahead and come into open-ended, go ahead and type open, and it'll show you the open-ended one, right? Go ahead and come in here, and you can make it whatever you want. Anything you want to make it, anything you want to put in here. The example that I had that I used was I had the students create their own question. Now, having the students create their own question in itself helps you understand their thought processes when it comes to questioning, right? And it helps them develop their own understanding of the content. Because in order for you to be able to make a coherent question, you have to have a good pedagogical content knowledge, right? So that goes into mastery of the subject. So let's go ahead and come back over here, right? And you can go ahead and add whatever you'd like to it as well, right? So if you want to add an image, oh, now here's another thing that we could do, right? Let's say we have our star, right? So star release test, right? You can go ahead and come over here. Let it load. I apologize. It's a little laggy. So now we have our star release test questions, right? We have all of our tests here. Let's say you're doing 5th grade reading, right? So test forms, let's say you want to go over, I don't know, 2021, right? And we have something here that you have a little passage. Let's go ahead and come over here. Is this reading or science? Reading. Okay, cool. So you have this little passage right here. You can go ahead and take a snippet of it. Let me go ahead and zoom out actually. Zoom out slightly. And let's say you just want them to focus on the first paragraphs, right? The intro to it. Go ahead and take a snippet with Windows Shift S. You can take a snippet of that. And the only thing is you'll have to save it, either save it directly. What I like to do is I actually like to open up a Word. File. Apologize, that's my tutoring schedule. New. So I like to open up a new one and just paste everything that I want to put in there, right? And I end up saving everything. That's just a force of habit that I have. You can go ahead and paste it in there, but it's a lot easier if you just save it and you file it. That way in the future, if you ever need it, it's something that you can go over, right? So let's go ahead and I'm going to save it into, I don't know, my saved picture, since I don't really have, we already have picture one. Let's go ahead and put this. Right. So now I can go ahead and upload that image in here. And so image, I can go ahead and come here. I believe I had it saved in my pictures, right? These pictures, and I had it test. So now they have part of the passage right here, right? So let's say you want it to have, you want to ask them an open-ended question, a short constructed response that states, what is the plot of the story, right? There you go. That's it. Now the kids can go ahead and use this as reference where they look for the plot, or let's say the setting, right? Something a little bit easier. Setting. Story. Excuse me, my fingers are not working currently. So what is the setting of the story, right? Now you have your open-ended, right? You can preview it to show what the students will see. And these are all the different features that you have when it comes to Nearpod, right? So now you have your document that you want them to read, and they can answer here, which you as a teacher can see in real time and edit. Now, let's see how this applies. Now, these are just some of the things that we can do. We can also do drag and drop. Being that we don't have a lot of time, I would love to go over it. You know what? Let's go ahead and do it real quick. So we also have the drag and drop feature. The drag and drop feature is great. I love the drag and drop because it helps us with our with different things that we can also have within our tests, right? So, fill in the blank would actually be a lot better for our
yeah, we're in there.
reading, right?
It's okay.
Fill in the blank. Oh, are we okay? All right, so the fill in the blank would be a lot better for that one, right? So you can go ahead and click your text. You can put whatever you want, and you can put for those of us that teach reading, right, or grammar, or revising and editing, you can go ahead and put your information here, whatever you want them to revise and edit, and they can drag and drop it there. So being that we don't have that much time, let's go ahead and go over the application of going into the power zone and using the iPad, right? So let's go ahead and stop sharing for now. Now, using the iPad, right? This is all in conjunction using Nearpod with the iPad and the New Line board that we have provided to us. There are many, I believe, other trainings that we have had. Our CITs, I know, have had a training on Montage Receiver. So if you could go ahead and go in with your CIT and ask them for the video, because they should be recorded from my understanding, of Montage Receiver, just have them show you how to use it. Correct, Valentin? I believe we all did that training, if I'm not mistaken. I would assume so. So with that being said, the way that we would do it is we'd go ahead and share our iPad through Montage Receiver. That's a training in and of itself. So the way that it's useful to use the iPad, is, let me go ahead and switch my camera. I don't think this thing lets me switch my camera from mine.
You what, honey?
I don't know.
Give me 1 second. I'm
What
trying to
happened?
switch the camera. Excuse me?
No, I was talking to Sandra, sorry.
Okay.
So let me just switch you over to my iPad, right? All right, great. So I'm on my iPad.
Yeah, we cannot hear you now, Sebastian.
Sebastian, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
I apologize for that. Wow. So let me go ahead and come back over here. Let me flip my camera. So I'm currently in my science lab, right? Basically what I was saying is that I'm in my science lab, and usually when I grab my iPad, I can walk around and I can use it to, of course, display Nearpod, correct? So I'm walking around and I can see my students, and I'm working within the power zone. Mr. Gabriel, can you give me an example? Can you come over here, sir? So I have currently my nephew as my student, so he can go ahead and take a seat right here. Go ahead and take a seat, sir. Right, so let's pretend that he's currently working on something. What I can be doing is he can be working on Nearpod right here, and I can still continue to monitor while maintaining my position within the power zone, correct? So another thing that we can do is that we can share our screen. So one thing that I love to do is I love to share my screen to the board. So let me see if I can actually share my screen from my iPad so I can show y'all what it would look like from my iPad, right? Second. So being able to do this, being able to share your screen, share screen, audio, share screen, start broadcasting. Okay, great. So I can't broadcast to my screen and the actual display that I have, but as you all can see, I was walking around right now, and I'm currently on my iPad. What you will be seeing as a teacher, right? I believe, let me go ahead and refresh. I believe I have those examples right here. What you'll be seeing as a teacher is exactly what I have in front of me. What I have in front of me, and this I'll be seeing as I'm walking. I'm currently walking around my lab as I am talking right now. And this is a way that I am able to ensure that my students are engaged. By having your presence within the power zone, your students can stay engaged. So again, you're seeing the actual preview of the Nearpod, or you're seeing the Nearpod on your screen and on the main screen within your classroom, your new line, correct? And you can follow along, and your presence, having that proximity to your students, can help keep them engaged and helps them know, like, hey, you know what, the teacher's walking around, I need to be paying attention. It brings down the behavior issues and stuff like that. And this is something that I've applied. This isn't just something that I'm talking about and saying, oh, well, hypothetically. No, this is something that I've applied within my lab, and it has been extremely beneficial. So let me go ahead and come back into Teams so I can go back into or let me take a seat again. So the iPad is extremely helpful when it comes to that, right? Let me go ahead and come back to my computer. So the iPad is very beneficial when it comes to okay. All right. So the iPad is very beneficial when it comes to that, right? You're able to walk around, present your screen to your new line board, and actually have that presence with the kids, right? I know a lot of us tend to teach from our desk because we're using our document scanner or our document reader, but the times have changed a little bit and we have more technology at our disposal, right? Now, let me go ahead and show you all why I feel it's extremely beneficial to have that, right? So we have our questioning, and it's basically having your Nearpod the way it is, the way you like it, and you are now mobile by using your iPad, right? So let's go ahead and come back over here. Now let me show you exactly why I love to use the iPad. So the reason why I love to use the iPad is because it helps us reach different dimensions within T-tests, right? So at the end of the day, we want to be very student-centered. In order for us, I know a lot of us have had our evaluation already. Some of us have not. And if you have had your evaluation, you see some of these domains that we probably got in proficient or maybe even developing. By applying what we can do with our iPad and Nearpod and maintaining our presence within the Power Zone, I can almost guarantee that you will go up to, at minimum, accomplish. So that's why I went to accomplish. So let's say, for example, right, you have created your lesson plan, or you have created or put your lesson into Nearpod by using the techniques taught here in our Unmute and Recharge and whatever techniques you already have. Now you adapt and adopt your iPad usage and present it onto your screen. Now, what we're doing with that, we can easily touch the data and assessment, right? So with data and assessment, domain 1 or dimension 1.2, which is our planning, we can easily go into accomplished, which is instructional planning includes formal and informal assessment to monitor progress of all students and incorporate appropriate diagnostics, formative and summative assessment data into lesson plans. So by just creating some of these little interactive slides within Nearpod, you're already tapping into the formative and summative assessments. You can have your little exit ticket and there's a summative, right? And you've already ticked off that one within your within your t-test observation, right? Now, the second one, substantial, specific, and timely feedback to students, families, and other school personnel on the growth of students in relation to the classroom and campus goals while maintaining student confidentiality. So by being able to see the students and give them that real-time feedback, right, while you're walking around with your iPad in hand and giving these students that feedback that you are collecting almost instantaneously. Being able to give them that feedback is something that I know will impress your administration, right? And then analysis of student data connected to specific instruction strategies, use of results to reflect on his or her teaching and to monitor teaching strategies and behavior in relationship to student success. So by walking around and maintaining your presence within that power zone, again, using your iPad, I'm going to keep on going back to it because it's something that's been extremely successful for myself and my colleagues within my campus, right? And again, this is tried and tested. This isn't something that I'm just pitching because I feel like it, because I think it'll work. No, it legitimately works. And being able to have the strategies that you will be able to collect because of the student data that you have collected with Nearpod, that one will also be tapped into, right? So another one, just another dimension that we have, 2.4, let's say differentiation, right? Now you give that opportunity to the students that don't have the means or don't have the desire to raise their hand and speak. Now you can go ahead and accommodate their needs by, again, blocking their names and giving them that opportunity to have a voice by speaking, right? So you can adapt the lesson to address individual needs of all students. Another thing that Nearpod has is that it has a text-to-speech feature. I can't have it here because I don't have the student version of it, but at the very top right, usually when you're here, as a matter of fact, it might even show it here. Let's see. Let's see if the student view will show it to us here. Usually in the top right, at least in my iPads, it'll have it there, or they can even use the immersive reader, right? So it'll read it out loud. That's usually something that I teach my kids to do, and I have all of my kids that have those accommodations. They know how to have the text-to-speech feature. And it's something extremely useful, and it's something that administrators and everybody looks for, because at the end of the day, we have to accommodate these 504s, RRTIs, people that have those accommodations, right? And that will suffice for your differentiation, right? Regularly monitors quality of students' participation and performance, right? And we go back to being able to see it in real time, in real life, and maintaining your presence. Regularly provides differentiated instruction, methods, and content to ensure students have the opportunity to master what is being taught. So again, by being able to monitor what the students have, where are we at? We're over here. By being able to monitor, let's say, these questions here that the students answer, you can give them those real-time adjustments. And it's something that is extremely beneficial because let's say you do it on paper, right? Let's say you do it on paper, or you're sitting at your desk and you're talking with the kids, they're filling out their information, even on their Nearpod, right? You now have to speak out loud to them. If you're maintaining your presence within the power zone, you can walk up right next to them and be like, hey, let's go ahead and clear this information out because it's something that we have a little bit of a misunderstanding here. So now you can target them individually while students are working. And at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to move forward to. We're trying to move forward to a more student-centered classroom, right? And I can talk about this for days, but being that we have a limited amount of time, that's basically how I wanted to connect using our iPad and Nearpod lessons in conjunction with working in the Power Zone to help us become better teachers, help us become more student-centered, and allow the students to actually interact and be a part of something that they feel they have, they're a part of, that they are listened to, and that when there's a misunderstanding, they're not going to be judged a day or two later where they're like, hey, you messed up here, right? It's a real-time thing, and it's something that we're consistently correcting as educators. So that's essentially what I wanted to go over. If there's any questions, I am more than happy to answer any questions that you all may have. Anybody? I guess we have no questions. All right.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
don't
That was
see any
awesome.
questions.
You know, we just went to a T-test training last week, the teacher version, because we hadn't, gone through that before. And it's all about student engagement. So like, this is perfect.
All right, awesome. I believe we have a question. Ms. Yemi Garcia, you had a question?
No, I'm sorry, I was trying to give feedback, clapping hands.
Oh, okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yay. Thank you so much to Jeanette and Sebastian today for these great sessions. That's going to end our session today. We are going to have a door prize for one person. So Valentine is going to bring up the claw for us.
Yup.
We'll see who our lucky winner is today. So thank you for attending. We really appreciate you being here. We know it's been a long week with benchmark testing, and it's testing season.
Here we go. Number 2.
Number 2 is Sebastian Tijerina.
Yeah, congratulations, Sebastian.
You win a prize, a door prize.
All right, thank you.
Congratulations. So thank you, everyone. That's the end of our sessions actually for this month.